Okay, it's Roy again. I'm going to walk you through how to clone your hard drive, or reclone it in this case. Currently, we've got a clone of our hard drive, and I'm going to reclone it. I'm going to get a fresh clone. So first thing you want to do, the clone drive is hot swappable, so I can turn this on when Windows is open. So I've started my computer. I've got Windows 10 open on the screen. My desktop is showing. There's two things I want to do. My clone drive is also, coincidentally, the same exact size and type of drive as the one I have in my removable bay. It's a 500 gig Samsung Evo 860. I don't want to inadvertently clone the wrong drive, so I suggest the first thing you do is pop out your removable front drive if you have it. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on the clone drive switch. I've taken off the cover of the computer, so we don't have to bore you with that. I'm going to activate the clone drive switch by doing this. Now you see the red LED light that went on. Now the clone drive is active. The next thing I'm going to do is show you in Windows how to actually get to that drive. Once the clone drive switch is active, Windows won't show the drive because it has another operating system on it. It doesn't like to show you two of them. So what you have to do is you have to go into Windows, right-click on your Windows icon down there and select Disk Management. When you go into Disk Management, you'll see one of the disks that's offline. Here's your boot drive, it's C, and here's another one. This one's offline. You're going to right-click it and you're going to say Online. Now it pops up. That's the clone drive. So before we can clone to it, Windows has to see it. So that's how you're going to do that. That's simple. The next thing you're going to do is you can go to Shortcuts. I have a program here. It's called Data Migration. This is made by Samsung. It's for Samsung drives, and I've renamed it Data Migration Clone. So you double click that. Go to Start. Now it's asking you to select a target drive. Well, it says there are more than one Samsung SSDs connected. That is true. We have a 2 terabyte solid-state drive for our primary image drive. You certainly don't want to clone to that. So this one here, it says Samsung SSD 860 Evo 500 gig. Yes, that's our clone drive. So we select it. So what it's going to do, if you'll notice the difference in size, our top drive is a 512 gig. And so that's coming up with 476.9 gig. Our bottom drive is a 500 gig. So that's coming up as 465.8 gig, so it's slightly smaller. So that's how you can tell this is the boot drive, this is the clone drive. You simply hit Start, and it's going to say, are you sure? Because anything on that clone drive is going to be gonzo. You say yes. And it says never disconnect the disk while during clone process. If you do that, you're going to lose everything on that disk. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to shut your computer down prematurely. You just want to let it go. When this is done, when it's finishing up, we're going to come back. It's going to take about 15 minutes. We're going to come back and I'll show you where we go from there. All right, the clone drive is done. So at this point, we can close this out. We're going to exit. We're not going to shut down yet. We're going to close this out. We are going to go Start. And we are going to restart the computer with the clone drive on. When the computer restarts, in order to get into the BIOS, let me get my wrapper off this keyboard. In order to access the BIOS, you must hit the delete key. Once you see the lights on the keyboard during the boot process, during the posting process, that tells us that the motherboard is seeing all of the peripherals. So once the graphics card hits it and once the keyboard hits it, we tap the delete key a few times, and that will get us into the BIOS. There we go. Okay, so now we're into the UEFI BIOS. You want to go over to your boot tab. You want to go down under Boot Override, and you'll see Windows Boot Manager, Port 2, Samsung SSD 860 EVO. If you simply click on it, you'll be booting from the clone drive. And the way you're going to tell is by the size of your two drives. The clone drive, remember, is slightly smaller than the boot drive. Also, the boot drive may be offline, depending on the mood Windows 10 is in today. Looks very much like it was when we left off. So I'm going to right-click and go into Disk Management. Okay. All right. Up here, what is now the C drive is my 465 gig drive. That was my clone drive. And the drive that is offline here was my original Samsung M.2 512 Pro drive. So that's fine. So now that tells us that we are actually in the clone drive. Now I'm going to change the background on the clone drive. I want to know that it's a clone drive because it's identical to my boot drive. If it booted, I would never know. So the way you tell, actually, let me go into the data drive. I have a screen that's called Clone Drive Background, or Screen Clone Background. So I'm going to go into Settings here. Actually, I'm going to right-click it. I'm blind. You go to Settings. And we're going to go into background, right here, personalization. And we're going to select a picture. And we're going to browse. And I'm going to go to my data drive and I'm going to grab that thing. And I'm going to hit choose that picture and close out. So now, this leaves little doubt as to what drive you're booting from. So when you start from your clone drive, this is the background screen you're going to have. Right now, the clone drive is an exact copy of the hard drive as it was when we left it. The one thing I don't do on the clone drive is license all of my software, because I might want to reclone this drive over a period of 6 months, 4 or 5 times. If I've done some major changes to my C drive, I want to reclone it. And I don't want to have to sit there and license all the information every single time. If you need to license your software, you simply go into your setup files. And under each one of your software folders, like Helicon Focus, you have here all of your licensing information. The same with Zareen Stacker. You have the code key for that. And the same with Capture One. All the information is there. So you can register it when you absolutely need it. That's it for cloning your drive. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shut down. Completely. Now I'm going to let my computer completely shut down. Everything is off. And now I'm going to turn my clone drive off.
Go ahead and say that again.
Mm-hmm. Now that the computer is completely shut down, I'm going to turn off my clone drive switch so that when I reboot the computer, the clone drive will not be active in the BIOS, and the machine will automatically boot from the original M.2 drive. I simply turn it on like I normally would, sit back, and enjoy Windows.